Hello, everyone, and welcome to a Thursday edition of the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. So you're probably listening to this on a Friday. It is 8:45 on Thursday as we record this. Dan Labbe with Mary Kay Cabot and Ashley Bastock, and the Browns and the NFL just released their schedule. So we're going to get into it. We're going to do what we've done every year. It's an annual tradition here. We power rank the schedule by drafting the games. So we've all got our big boards. We're ready to go. We're going to talk about every single game on the schedule in the order that we think they are the most interesting. But before we do that, just kind of overarching takeaway from the schedule, Mary Kay.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that jumped out to me, and I led my, gamer with it, is the fact that they are starting out with 3 AFC North opponents in the first 4 games. I mean, my goodness, what a way to get started. Really, they are all going to have to be ready to go. There is very little margin for error. It's time to hup, get their act together, and really be rolling. I mean, they start out with obviously the Bengals, who went 12-4 last year. Joe Burrow, made it to the AFC Championship game, and then coming right back with the Steelers Monday night game. Then you've got the Titans in there, and then you have the Ravens with Lamar Jackson and Odell Beckham Jr. and everybody else. So what a way to get started. Wow. It's a mind boggler.
Yeah, this time a year ago, Ashley, we were talking about, these first 5 games, they're pretty easy. They're all very winnable games. Of course, we all know what happened. But yeah, this is definitely to open up so heavy division-wise is kind of rare. A lot of times it's backloaded, but not in this case.
Yeah, I was going to say we're a long ways from last year where the first 4 games seemed easy, and an even longer ways away from 2021 where all the division games came week 8 and onward. Like, this is the second straight year where they aren't entirely backloaded. Like, they're kind of front-loaded and kind of backloaded, but really, really, I think, insane almost to have 3 division games in the first 4 weeks. Like, if you fall behind in those first 4 weeks, like, you're going to be climbing an uphill battle in the division race for like the rest of the season. This is an insanely, I think, pivotal and a tough stretch. I mean, regarding wins and losses, also regarding what this offense is actually going to look like and the fact that it has to hit the ground running.
Okay, Ashley, what's your takeaway when you saw this schedule?
Yeah, my first takeaway, besides the one that Mary Kay just said, because I think that's probably, like she said, the universal takeaway from this schedule, early bye week 5. And I don't know how to feel about that, because on one hand, it is, they're going to get a kind of break and kind of work the kinks out after that really, really, really tough stretch of those 3 division games in the first 4. But that still is like very early to me, because then you're going to have to go and play 13 straight regular season games after that. And it's almost to me like the opposite problem of 2021 when the bye week was super late and guys were kind of limping to that bye week and there were a ton of nagging injuries. Now it's like, okay, like, how healthy can you stay over that 13 weeks stretch? Obviously, if you go to the playoffs, it's an even longer stretch without a break in theory. So I just think it's going to be really interesting to see how that early bye week impacts them and how they handle it as a team.
That was one of my choices too. If no one else said that, that was going to be mine. That early bye week, Mary Kay. I even think if they don't make the playoffs, I haven't done the math on this, but this is the longest Browns season ever. And if they make the playoffs, it's definitely the longest Browns season ever, because they're starting early because of the Hall of Fame game. There's 17 games now, so the season is 18 weeks long. They're not going to be done with the regular season until January. So this is already setting up to be the longest Browns season in history, and they're going to have to navigate this with a week 5 bye. And on top of that, they don't play a Thursday night game until week 17. Mm-hmm. So they don't even get like the mini bye. Like sometimes the NFL will give you like an early bye or a late bye, but they'll give you that mini bye in the middle. They don't even get that.
No, I think it's a horrible time for them to have a bye. It's an absolutely horrible time. Now, maybe they'll be licking their wounds from those 3 AFC North games, but still, it's way too early for a team that has 4 preseason games instead of 3, and then hopes to go deep into the playoffs this year. Now, in the event that they reach their Super Bowl goals, that we know they have them, this means they could be playing 17 games after the bye. 17 straight games after the bye. That's a whole lot of football games with no breather in between there. And I'll tell you what, Kevin Stefanski in the release that the Browns sent out said, I really like where the bye is. And I wanted to say, no, you don't. You do not like where the bye is. Everybody kind of likes it right in the middle of the season. This has got to be the earliest bye that there is, or at least one of them. I mean, that is an early, early bye. The only good thing about it is that I can think of, once again, as Ashley mentioned, just comes after those 3 AFC North games. But if you really need to change things up with new special teams, new defensive coordinator, and a completely basically new offense with 4 new pass catchers and Deshaun Watson starting the season, maybe you might just have to call that timeout really early and regroup and do all of your breaking it down right then and there, and then hit the ground running again and be ready to go for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and even maybe you can make the case that it gives you like a break after training camp, but they've sort of built in that bye week before week 1 too, where the cut down day is earlier, and so everybody kind of gets that weekend, that Labor Day weekend off now. So yeah, I think this is, I don't know what Kevin's talking about. I don't believe him. I'll say that. Okay, my takeaway is the last stretch of games, starting with so you have Jacksonville. I'm sorry, I'm actually going to start with the Rams on the 3rd. So that's a 4:25 game. That's a big audience, but that's a game you should win. Then you have a tough one against Jacksonville. Then you get the Bears and at Houston before you have to play the Jets and at the Bengals. They're sort of in a position where if they can get through Thanksgiving and be in contention, there's a couple of games there that are pretty winnable. The Rams, the Bears, and the Texans. And I know it's, so much can change between now and then, but I feel like you're looking at 3 teams at least in that last kind of 6-game stretch before you have to play the Jets and then at Cincinnati to finish your season. I think it's kind of a manageable stretch at the end of the season if they can just sort of hang on and just, that's the goal in the NFL anyway, Mary Kay, is just be in contention Thanksgiving. Get through Thanksgiving, be in contention, and then finish strong. And I think they have a chance to do that.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. When I like what you picked here, Dan, because I was looking at that too. To have to end your season, to have to end that season. First of all, you're going to be gone for Christmas Eve. Who wants to be playing on Christmas Eve in Houston? But to finish off your season against Aaron Rodgers and Joe Burrow, not only do you have to be ready at the beginning of your season, but you cannot run out of gas before those 2 games. You can't run out of gas, okay? Aaron Rodgers, he'll be humming along by then. It might take him a little while to figure out his new team and his new digs a little bit, but he plays really, really good football in December.